Hello, good evening and welcome to 3FM 92.7. This is Hot Edition on 3FM. We are live around the world on 3news.com. Coming up this evening, Ghana Education Service interdicts a teacher of Okadjakrom SENIOR High School for alleged sexual misconduct. We'll tell you more about this particular development shortly. Also coming up, government increases the producer price of cocoa for the second time in 2 months, hiking the price by nearly 400 Ghana cedis per bag after a recent price adjustment by the Ivory Coast. And later, as President Mahama prepares to meet CSOs on his approach to tackling illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, farmers in the eastern region demand drastic action to curb the menace. We are live around the world on 3news.com, and also be a part of the show because we are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So just look for 3FM 92.7 and you can be part of the show, and do send your comments to come in. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Details of all of these and more coming up shortly. Right, so before we delve into the details, let's hear what's happening in the news summaries.
Thanks a lot, Martin. It's been a busy news day, really. But let's start with it because the cybercrime unit of the Ghana Police Service has arrested 68 suspected cyber criminals and seized over 800 devices. A move Interior Minister Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak says underscores government's commitment to fighting online crime. In agriculture, government has raised the producer price of cocoa to 3,625 Ghana cedis per bag for the 2025-2026 season, giving farmers 400 cedis more per bag following a decision by the Producer Price Review Committee chaired by Finance Minister Dr. Kesil Atto-Forsen. In education, Martin stated that earlier, the Ghana Education Service has interdicted Richard Tibeto, a teacher at Okadjakrom SHTS in the OT region, over alleged sexual misconduct, I should say. He has also been barred from school premises pending investigations. Then there's a story with the AMA which says that the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has directed that all shops and markets remain closed on Saturday, October 4, to enable the first cleanup exercise under the newly launched National Sanitation Day initiative. Finally, over 50 civil society organizations will meet President Dramani Mahama tomorrow to deliberate on illegal mining, also known as galamsey, and propose sustainable solutions. That's it for the news summaries. Martin.
Thank you very much, Lord Edwasari, with the news summaries, and we are delving straight into the details of our stories we have for you this evening. The Ghana Education Service has indicted one Mr. Richard Tibeto, a teacher of Okadjakrom Senior High Technical School in the Jasikan municipality of the OT region, over alleged sexual misconduct. In a statement issued today, the Ghana Education Service described the conduct as unacceptable, unethical, and a clear violation of the Professional Code of Conduct for Teachers. In addition to his interdiction, Mr. Tibeto has been barred from entering the school premises pending further investigations. The Ghana Education Service has assured parents, guardians, and the general public that the safety and protection of all students remain its topmost priority, stressing that any teacher found culpable of acts that compromise the dignity and well-being of students will face the full rigors of the law in line with the Ghana Education Service Code of Conduct. In a jiffy, we'll try and get further perspectives on this particular development from the Ghana Education Service. And then also, it comes on the back of another teacher who has also been, sacked for fondling or being in a very compromising position with a girl or a female student in one of the schools in the Ashanti region. So it looks as though in the last few days, this particular development has been frontal in news around the country. So we'll try and see what exactly the Ghana Education Service intends to do about it going forward, and how they hope to clamp down on individuals who are taking advantage of pupils in schools. While we try to connect to the Ghana Education Service, let's bring you what exactly Child Rights International has been saying. Its executive director, Bright Appiah, has been calling for broader discussions on immoral conduct in schools. He argues that teachers have not made the school environment friendly enough for children to confidently report such matters. He spoke earlier on Midday Live. Right, so try and get you that sound of what exactly Child Rights International has also been saying on this particular issue. And again, you know that the stakeholders within the education sector have also been sharing thoughts on it. Let's find out what exactly the thoughts of the Institute for Education Studies, IFEST, has on this issue that seems to be creeping in. Every now and then you hear such reports. Is it that the guardrails that are supposed to prevent these issues are loose or are not as active as they used to be, or this is actually something that has been happening and it is that current day or modernity is why we seem to be hearing and seeing these developments in recent times? Dr. Peter Pateanti is the Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies, IFEST. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, Martin.
This is the second time this week that we are hearing such a report of a male teacher having or being in an uncompromising position with a female student. And again, we know that your person and your outfit, you've done works around the country with many of such institutions. Is this a widespread situation or this is actually isolated?
Well, I believe that it's something that really happens in most of our schools. And I remember 3 years ago, we did a work with Girls Excellence Movement on challenges that face in their education at the pre-tertiary level. And one of the factors that stood out strongly was this issue of maltreatment or molestation that girls experience with their teachers. So for me, based on that research output, I will say that it is something that is widespread.
And so if it is widespread, the next question then would be, is it that it is a growing trend, or it has already been in existence, but it is in modern, now that we are hearing of it a lot more?
Yeah, it's because of the social media issues that we are now hearing more of it. One of the things that stood out with my interaction with the respondent for that particular study was the fact that mostly they do not know who to report these things to. And because of that, most of these cases are kept to themselves because they fear to be victimized in that particular perspective. And the report was called as Sheltered but Exposed. And we use that heading or topic because we saw that when when girls are taken to school, they are supposed to have a shelter there, a place where they are supposed to be protected and guided. However, while they are still supposed to be under that protection, they are exposed to a lot of exploitation in their activities. But they are not able to bring it out because of the societal reaction. So what social media has come to do is to help put some of these things out and then spread it widely for people to hear of it and then talk about it.
Do you believe that current disciplinary systems that are in some of these schools are strong enough to deter this behavior?
Well, I think
that is if even individual schools have them.
That's what they have been working with. One over the years. People have had challenges with it. People complain that you can't ask a teacher or you can't transfer a teacher from one school to the other in such a situation, because the other school that is going to, there are also people there who there are students also in there. But I think that is what GS works with. I think what we will need to do is to look at the NTC angle, which looks at after the person has been exposed, has gone through proper disciplinary procedure and found to be guilty. That person can, the system can revoke the license that the NTC has given the person. So for me, it will be a matter of enforcing the current laws and then maybe tightening it further to ensure that there's enough punishment for anyone involved in this practice.
Right. And in conclusion, what role can parents play? Just in case an educational institution does not have these, guidelines for teachers who are coming in, parents who are key stakeholders also do have a role to play, no? And what would that role be?
Yes, I think that 80 to 90% of preventing this lies with the parents. How are we bringing up our kids? Are we making them assertive enough to be able to speak out when they encounter such difficulties? How do we collaborate with school authorities with our kids that are depicting or showing such behaviors? Because you know that in this kind of conversation, there are students that are also very, very, very stubborn in that perspective. So how are we bringing our children in that light to ensure that they are law-abiding and they are obedient, but assertive to the extent that when they are being exploited, they will be able to voice out? I said that my interaction with the respondents, the girls in most of the schools, tells me that in most instances, they do not know who to talk to because they fear that they will be victimized or they will be labeled as bad, into bracket, bad girls or bad students. And so they keep it to themselves, and some of them would not even talk about it at all. So as parents, how do we interact with our children so that the little things that they experience, they're able to open up to us? So parents have got a lot of things to do. Teachers are supposed to be agents of care. They are in a position of trust, so they are supposed to be professionally relate with these students. And so we should encourage teachers to continue to be professional in their dealing with the students, and also link with parents when they feel that a student is going overboard in that perspective. So this is supposed to be a collaborative effort if we really want to deal with this situation in our senior high schools.
Doc, pardon my last question again. There's this issue about persuasion by some of these students. When I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate here. So you are a teacher, you are in school, and sometimes the teachers themselves become victims. I'm sure many who listen would want to disagree, but when there is a teacher who has incessantly been, provoked by these children or these girls on campus, especially in the senior high schools, how do they go about it? Is there also a complaint unit where teachers can go and complain that students are harassing them, for which reason there are disciplinary actions to be taken against some of these students, that is?
Yeah, that angle is possible. Interestingly, I think I had an interview with one of your sister stations, and most of the feedback I'm getting from teachers seems to suggest that they are also, they also experience some of these things, and even some of the female teachers are also complaining of the kind of behavior that the male students on campus exhibit towards them. So it is a possibility. I think that the teachers are trained professionally to be able to handle this, and when you feel that you are not able to handle this, there is a school counselor, there's a headmaster in there. You should be able to confide in one or two senior members on campus so that they invite the student's parents, and then the student is taken through the proper counseling procedure. I don't think that you should use that as an opportunity to go against your professional ethics and code of conduct. I think that if you are being harassed, you go through the proper process of reporting to a senior person, a counselor on campus, right. And then the student will be taken through the proper procedure of ensuring that the student is put on check.
Okay.
So we cannot use that as an excuse when these incidents happen. I think that the teacher, in terms of maturity, in terms of professional status and everything, the teacher is at a higher level, right, and should be able to put himself together and deal with this situation when it happens.
Professionally. Thank you. Certainly, I mean, that's a good call you make there. Thank you so much, Dr. Peter Partey-Anti, for your time this evening.
You're welcome.
He is the Executive Director of the Institute for Education, Studies IFEST, and has been sharing his thoughts on the news that we have, which is that the Ghana Education Service has interdicted one Richard Tibeto, a teacher at Okadjakrom Senior High Technical School, I should say, in the drastic municipality over alleged sexual misconduct. Earlier, we also had Bright Appiah, who is the Executive Director for the Child Rights International. He has also been speaking on this issue.
Well, it's almost everyday activity that happens to children, to the extent that some children don't want to go to school, or they have to conform to what is happening in the system for them to be able to fit in. So it's a widespread issue, and we need a broader discussion on it to be able to have a policy to address it. If not, children will have to endure such a system before they complete school.
Indeed, and one of the other problems is also that families and survivors do not want to come forward. Do we know why, and perhaps how this can be dealt with?
It is because we've not made the school environment friendly enough for children to report. And the worst part of it is that parents also don't make themselves friendly enough for children to work with them and report such matters. So they have become their own protectors. They have to find ways and means to be able to endure the issue. And that, for me, it isolates the child from society, and it makes education that's supposed to build them up as another avenue of punishment that they have to go through. Because day in, day out, they see those people who commit such offenses against them in the classroom, and they even stand before them to teach them and all that. And you can imagine all the psychological issues that they have to go through. So more or less, the system is isolating children, and they have to deal with issues internally.
And that's the voice of Bright Appiah, who is the Executive Director for Child Rights International. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. It is live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kandai in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. We're going on to our next major subject, which has to do with cocoa. Now, the government has announced an upward adjustment of the producer price of cocoa, offering a reprieve to farmers for the 2025-2026 season. The new price has been set at 3,625 Ghana cedis per bag, equivalent to 58,000 Ghana cedis per ton, effective the 3rd of October, which is Friday tomorrow. This represents a 12.27% increase over the 3,228 Ghana cedis per bag price, which was announced just 2 months ago, which is in August. The decision was reached after a meeting of the Producer Price Review Committee on Cocoa, chaired by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kesel Atuforsen. It has also come 2 days after the world lead producer and Ghana's neighbor, Ivory Coast, increased the producer price to 2,800 CFA, or CFA franc, I should say, per kilogram. This revision means a Ghanaian cocoa farmer will earn approximately 400 cedis more for every bag of cocoa sold compared to the initial price set for the season. The August price was pegged at 70% of the average gross free on board or FOB price for $7,200 per ton on the world market. So the Minister for Finance, Casualties said that the margins, fees and rates for all other stakeholders, including the Ghana Cocoa Board, will remain unchanged despite the price hike for the cocoa farmer. Let's listen to him and then we'll come and try and get some perspectives to this issue.
Basis of the changes that we have affected to the forecast, the government has taken a decision to increase the producer price of cocoa to 3,625 Ghana cedis per bag, or 58,000 Ghana cedis per ton. This simply means that per every bag purchase, the cocoa farmer is getting 400 Ghana cedis additional. Simply put, to the ordinary cocoa farmer, since my last engagement on the 4th of August to today, every bag you will purchase, you will sell to Cocoa Board, you'll be getting another 400 Ghana cedis, or 4 million Ghana cedis, old Ghana cedis. Ghana Cocoa Board will continue to implement all the interventions to support the cocoa production and the welfare of the cocoa farmer. In particular, Cocoa Board will intensify the supply of free cocoa fertilizers, both liquid and granular, free insecticides, free spraying machines, and free fungicides, and free flower inducers to the cocoa farmer. In addition, Cocoa Board is on track to implement the new tertiary education scholarship scheme for children of cocoa farmers in the 2026-2027 academic year.
And that's Finance Minister Casualties, Dr. Casualties, giving the breakdown of what the new cocoa price is in terms of how much farmers are going to be benefiting. Let's go to the phone lines now and engage Obed Owusu-Adai. He is the co-convener for the Ghana Civil Society Cocoa Platform. Mr. Owusu-Adai, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Thank you for having me, Martin.
We know that in August, government announced cocoa prices, an increment. There was some kind of discontent with the amount that government mentioned earlier. Now we have an addition. So in a period of 2 months, we have an increase again. What has the reaction been generally on the platform and from the cocoa farmers generally?
Well, thank you once again, and good evening to your listeners. It is interesting that within a space of 2 months, or actually less than 2 months, there have been increment of cocoa price twice. We said this during our press conference when the initial price was announced, that the price that government was giving us did not reflect the conditions on the ground. And that the dollar rate that they were using at that time, 10.25 rate, was an artificial figure, and that it was not a true reflection of what the economy was. Again, it seems to it presupposes, or it's beginning to show that Ghana is doing a reactionary kind of policy intervention. That they see that the Ivorians have increased their price so quickly, they are also increasing it so that it prevents potential cross-border smuggling. In as much as we welcome the increment, we think it's about time that we had a proper and well-structured way of announcing prices or calculating the farm gate price to avoid these knee-jerk reactionary announcements that is happening. We welcome it, but we still think concrete and permanent kind of solutions needs to be put in place to avoid these occurrences.
What would the exact figure be? What are, I mean, I'm sure you also have done your own calculations based on all the factors that influence how much a bag of cocoa should go for. From your perspective, how much should the ideal bag of cocoa go for now?
We did say it in August that we were expecting not less than 4,000 Ghana cedis for a 64 kilogram of cocoa. So one bag of cocoa should go for not less than 4,000 Ghana cedis. We still stand by it, and in fact, we are even now more justified based on the trend of the dollar to cedi, what the dollar and the cedi, the mathematics and then the calculations around it. We still stand by that figure that government ought to be paying farmers no less than 4,000 Ghana cedis per bag of cocoa.
We have 2,800 CFA franc for Ivory Coast cocoa farmers. Comparatively, is that higher or lower or probably on the same scale?
Well, so depending on which calculation or the exchange rate that you use, it will presuppose that the Ivorians are paying a bit higher than Ghana. I think this was even brokered by the Bloomberg News portal a couple of days ago, even before this announcement came up, that they were setting the price a little higher than Ghana. But what one needs to also understand is that in Ivory Coast, the price, it keeps changing, and they give ranges. So the price that they have announced is the minimum that the traders need to pay the farmers or the cooperatives. And so unlike Ghana, where it is a fixed price, in Ivory Coast, this price that is announced is the minimum, meaning that based on the competitive advantage of the cooperative and the farmer groups, they can get higher from the traders. That is where the difference is.
And maybe my last two questions before you take leave of us. Comparing the current price government has given, have you been able to interact with government, or based on what government has said, are you able to identify what key challenges government is referring to when it says that based on all these economic factors, we believe that this is an ideal amount for a bag of cocoa?
Well, some of the challenges, yes, indeed, we have maybe not directly, but we are in the sector. We've been in the sector for a long time, and we know some of the challenges. The fact that Cocoa Board is indebted to a tune of about $38 billion, and that there is a backlog of unsupplied contracts that they inherited. And we do understand, we know that these problems exist. But even with all these problems of unsupplied contracts that now is almost about 180,000 tons that they need to supply, and also the debt situation of Cocoa Board, we know that they would want to try and resolve some of these debts by setting the price in such a manner that they can recoup some of the losses. But having said that, the farmers should not suffer because of the incompetencies at the Cocoa Board.
Right. Well, that's a pretty tough one, the way you concluded. And my final question would be that, are there alternatives, or government is the only off-taker?
Well, the PNDC Law 81 that sets up the Cocoa Board makes it very, very explicit that we as farmers are obliged by law to sell our beans only to government. And so there's that monopoly on the part of government of Ghana. And it's only Ghana that this exists. In other countries, there is a hybrid situation, and in some cases, it's a totally liberalized system. But in Ghana, the law just forbids us from selling to, not even to ourselves. We cannot process our own beans, so we have to sell to government. And we think that is why this problem persists. And we are also mindful that if we open the space to other buyers, there could be a potential of traders cheating farmers. So we do know that Cocoa Board plays a very, very important strategic role in regulating the space, but that should not come at the expense of the farmer.
Would you advocate, not just you, but do you think that it's time for a review of the law?
Well, for the law, it's way long overdue. It's 41 years now, and it hasn't seen any major review. Even though we want to see it reviewed, I think the strategic role Cocoa Board plays as the marketer of beans, that is a role that we will not be quick to take away from them, because we have seen in situations in other countries where it is liberalized how the traders and private sector is treating the farmers. So yes, we know Cocoa Board plays a very, very important role, but we are saying that role that they play should not be a basis for cheating farmers of their hard-earned money, because you need to go to some of the communities to see the standard of living of these farmers. And so it's unacceptable that due to the inactions or actions of Cocoa Board, farmers should suffer this kind of losses. So we are saying that the law is long overdue, but the marketing rule of cocoa balls should still remain, even if we review the law.
Pleasure talking to you this evening. Thank you so much for your time, Obed Owusu-Adai.
Thank you very much for having me.
And you heard the co-convener of the Ghana Civil Society Cocoa Platform, Ghana Civil Society Cocoa Platform, and the co-convener is Obed Owusu-Adai, giving us their own analysis and thoughts on this new cocoa price that has been announced by government. Now, every bag of cocoa is going for 3,625 Ghana cedis, and it means that if you sell one of that as a farmer, you're getting 400 Ghana cedis more. And this is in less than 2 months that another upward review has been announced by government. But the farmers say that no, they think that a lot more could still be given them, and they had actually pegged it at a minimum of 4,000 Ghana cedis per bag. That's quite interesting, but we'll see what the general reaction to this will be across the country, especially in cocoa growing regions and communities. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. We're shifting our attention to some other stories this evening. And resign voluntarily or we will mount pressure on the government to remove you. This is the call of the minority in Parliament on the Communications Minister Samuel Nartey George, accusing him of inconsistency in the ongoing standoff with MultiChoice over DSTV subscription charges. Addressing the media in Parliament, earlier today, Member of Parliament for Iberium and Deputy Ranking on Parliament's Communications Committee, Charles Oredu, questioned the U-turn and the minister's stance on the matter. Grace Hamo-Ajiman has more in this report.
Since August 2025, the Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, Sam George, has been advocating for a 30% reduction in DSTV fees. He argued that the significant price disparity between the premium bouquet, which costs $83 in Ghana, compared to just $29 in Nigeria, was a short change for Ghanaian subscribers. But a recent package upgrade announcement by the minister has moved the minority to question the minister's stance on the upgraded packages instead of cutting prices. They want the minister to apologize to the nation.
For this display of ineptitude, incompetence, and penchant for deceit, we of the minority demand that 1. The minister render an unqualified apology to Ghanaians for the waste of the nation's time and resources on this venture. We call on him to account for the fines levied on DSTV. We deem him unfit to continue as the minister for this strategic ministry of communication, digital technology, and innovation, and therefore call on him to resign or for His Excellency the President to fire him.
The side is recommending to government to create a favorable environment for private businesses to thrive and for customer benefit.
What you need to do is not forcing them to reduce, because DSTV has also come out to tell you that cumulatively they pay taxes close to 28%. They pay VAT 15%. They pay debt fund 2.5%. They pay NHIs 2.5%. They pay CST, Communication Service Tax, 5%. Then they also pay 3% on the decoders they import. So, 28%. In the case of Nigeria, it's only 7.5% that they pay to the government of Nigeria. So you see the disparity. So there is no way you can get them to reduce the price out to the levels of the Nigerian market. It's not possible.
And so for them, this is not the end of it. They are going to mount pressure on government, indulge in other advocacy activities to ensure that Ghanaians or subscribers get value for money for what they pay. Grace Hamo-Ajiman, 3FM News, Accra.
And so that's quite a controversial subject, still in the trends on social media, and many of you are still sharing your thoughts on it, and we're happy that you actually have the opportunity to let us know what you think of this DSTV Communications Minister debacle and the back and forth it has generated. Away from that, tomorrow, President John Dramani Mahama will be meeting almost 50, probably over 50 civil society organizations on the issue of Galamsey to see how collectively we all as a country can nip this canker in the bud. Now, over 50 civil society organizations are set to meet President Mahama tomorrow to discuss the illegal mining menace. The meeting will include religious bodies such as the Catholic Bishops' Conference, Ghana Muslim Mission, and the Office of the Chief Imam. Civil society groups expected to attend are the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, Eco-Conscious Citizens, etc. Professional bodies such as the Ghana Bar Association, the Law Society of Ghana, the African Women Lawyers Association, the University Teachers Association of Ghana, the Ghana Chamber of Mines have also been invited. On the list as well, we have student bodies, including the Ghana National Union of Ghana Students, other organizations like the Institute for Democratic Governance and the Center for Democratic Development, and Send Ghana and Imani Africa, etc. It's a long list of individuals expected to meet the president. And we all look forward to how that interaction will go. But Franklin Kujo, who is the president of Imani Africa, is on the line. He's joined us for a quick chat on this. Mr. Kujo, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Oh, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. To start with, I'm sure you're looking forward to tomorrow's meeting. What have you been thinking about since the invitation came? And Claire, my question is premised on the fact that there had been so many people asking for a declaration of a state of emergency. Now the president says, I cannot do that now, but has gone forward to say, okay, all the active voices calling for a declaration of a state of emergency, let's meet and chat about this. What has your thinking been ahead of this meeting tomorrow?
Well, so first of all, I think we needed to get some sort of an agenda. I was definitely thinking that this meeting should necessarily be the final meeting, especially on this subject, as far as CSOs and the executive is concerned. I think it is important to say that, look, we now need to move from here, from talking to action. And I do believe that tomorrow's interaction would yield exactly that. I mean, some of us have spoken amongst ourselves, and we seem to have a plan, actually have a good plan as to how we think the meeting should go. Of course, we will be happy to hear what the president and the substantive minister will say, but we also have some good responses we want to give. The responses based rooted in reality and practical and pragmatic. So I am sure that tomorrow we will definitely give our due and then ensure that the last time this matter will be put to rest. Because, quite frankly, what is going on? I mean, it's just a travesty. It's sad. I mean, and I think we all need to quickly not mobilize and get this thing sorted. I don't think one person can do that, but we really need to. And I agree to the extent that the idea of a declaration of state of emergency across the country, frankly, it may sound like a sensible thing, but in either Farid, I mean, I don't think people decode in my hometown. What's the point in making sure that they go to bed at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and then wake around 6 a.m.? It doesn't make sense. I think it is important that the targeted areas that the President suggested are the ones to be cleared. And in that regard, it means that if I request that, of course, what it means that probably have a bit more resources to fight it, because so many people are using it, and I think it is important that we restructure exactly how people who have been, should I say, employed or appointed to fight the movement one way or the other, whether it's blue water ocean or whatever. I think clearly we need to get these people some sustainable, I don't know, what should I say? I mean, some level of confidence that they will say that, look, we want to stop Galamsey, but we have sustainable livelihood. And I think those questions are really important. Otherwise, tomorrow, we expect to see, I personally expect to see the Minister for Environment give us an update of where we were before they came to power, what is done between January to now, and what the results are looking like. Then we go forward, and the next one will ask, okay, now we've come here to discuss and make suggestions. What do you know? We want to see action. So every month you can give an update. You don't need to come here. We would have to have an update. You can be on TV and listen. Otherwise, for me, if I don't see action the next month, then I may not attend any.
Yeah,
I mean, not
and that's where, well, that's another aspect of this, where several meetings have been held, symposia, conferences, seminars, etc. on this, but it looks as though this is the first such meeting that the president himself is convening, and to the extent that we've lost lives. Not the many that have already been lost in communities, many of them unheard of, unknown individuals, but to the extent that nationally we have all had to mourn the loss of some individuals, calls for critical action. But you also gave indications that you are hoping that this is not just another talk shop and that some concrete action be seen. How about the role of communities? These communities where these activities happen, per the list I've seen or the invited institutions, do you think we could have found a way to engage maybe traditional leaders or opinion leaders in some of these communities? Because they are living the everyday experience of the Galamsey activities, no?
Well, I think it is most likely. I'm not confirming, but it is most likely that the president would meet those interested groups as well. So, rest assured. I think it's a very important point to be, because that's where the Galamsey is found. If you're a king and a chief, and people are just digging holes around you, all of a sudden, they start digging holes around you, and then you realize that you have no control, you have no land. So I think I'm sure there are plans to meet all these various interested parties as well. So let's hope for the best.
Right. Okay. We are all anticipating what tomorrow will bring. So we'll leave it here and probably talk to you after the meeting.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Franklin Kujo is president of Imani Africa, and his institution, that is Imani Africa, is one of the about 50 CSOs that have been invited by President John Mahama so they can jaw on how to deal with the illegal mining menace, which has left several of our citizens dead, many children with all sorts of medical conditions, and the fact that water, what we all need on a daily basis, we are likely to start importing water into the country, is a major concern that we all need to be worried about. And the fact that in the last few days or so, we have also been told that food items we consume, although we are far away in Accra, most of our food items come from the hinterland, the other regions where these Galamsey activities are rife. So if those food items are already heavily contaminated, then it means that you think you are far away from the problem, but the problem is right on the plate in front of you. So we need to see concrete action. And tomorrow we'll try and keep very close ears on how the conversation will go with the president and update you so that you can also be a part of this national clarion call for a fight against illegal mining. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition, and I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Let's go on to some other stories now, still quite related to Galamsey issues. Earlier today, we had the tragic report of a mining pit that collapsed in Casualties in the Twimamponya district of the Ashanti region. And we are told that the mine collapse has claimed about 5 lives, and some persons probably are still being rescued. The incident happened Wednesday night. Rescue teams led by NADMA with support from local volunteers managed to pull 8 others out of the pit alive. The survivors are receiving treatment at the Nyinahini Government Hospital, and rescue efforts are still ongoing. And it looks as though this is a very, very disturbing issue. Well, these individuals went out to undertake their regular everyday mining, which from all indications was an illegal activity. And if you are doubting what we are saying, just log on to our Facebook page and you would see the visuals of what exactly happened in the area where these individuals have been mining illegally. Unfortunately for them, and some would say fortunately for the country, the pit collapsed, and those that were trapped in it, 5 of them were pulled out, but they had died as a result of suffocation in the pit. 8 of them managed to survive. They've been rushed to the hospital and they are getting treatment. But the big concern is, what exactly is it that they are not hearing or seeing, for which reason they still continue to engage in this illegal activity? And we just indicated that the President of the Republic is calling for a meeting, because this has been a conversation over the last 5 to 7 years about the incessant nature of illegal mining activities. But it looks like now, although people are losing their lives, they are still bent on ensuring that they undertake or continue this activity. And 5 people have died. They were trapped in a pit. 8 have survived. So we'll try and see if we can speak to our correspondent to get some further perspectives on this. While we wait for that, let's go on to some other stories now. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has today sworn in 20 new appeals court judges and a private legal practitioner at a ceremony at the presidency. Those that have been sworn in include Justice Justin Kojo Dogu, Justice Daniel Mensah, who is also the Domahene Osajefo Ajimambedu I, Justice George Bwedi, Justice Olivia Obeng Owusu, and Justice John Bosco Nabarese. Others are Justice Jennifer Ann Myers Ahmed, Justice Emmanuel Senyo Amedahe, Justice Kwesi Anochijima, Justice Dr. Richmond Osei Shere, Justice Francis Apangobonu Achimboga, and Justice Ali Baba Abutari, Justice Abena Esuoma Opong. The rest are Justice Mariama Samu, Justice Mary Mami Ekwe Nyanzua, Justice Aite Amatete, Justice Charity Akosia Asem, Justice Enyonam Adinyira, Justice Sheila Minta, Justice Douglas Seidu, Justice Charles J. Wilson, Mrs. Franklin Jesila Adamu. And all of these have been, these men and women have been sworn in as the new appeals court judges. Now, let's listen to what exactly the president said to them at the ceremony.
This is not merely a ceremony of robes and oaths. It is a renewal of the covenant between us and the Ghanaian people, in whom the sovereign power lies. For when citizens walk into the courts of this nation, they do not simply seek judgments, they seek hope. Hope that the law will protect them, hope that their rights will be respected, and hope that their voices will be heard. And today, as we swear you in, we're renewing that hope in our people. The Court of Appeal is the people's court of renewal. It is here that errors remedy. For many Ghanaians, the Court of Appeal is often the last hope for justice when all other avenues have been exhausted. And that is why the authority we assume today is not only legal, but profoundly moral. You hold in your hands the power to heal wounds, to restore confidence, and to guide our nation towards fairness. In recent times, our courts have not escaped criticism. Citizens have openly and sometimes harshly questioned judicial decisions. And they still believe in the courts, that justice still matters, and that verdicts have meaning in their lives. What we must guard against is cynicism, the corrosive belief that the courts no longer serve the people, but only the powerful in society. To rebuild trust, our courts must demonstrate in word and deed that justice is not compromised by status, wealth, or political convenience. But inspire confidence in our people.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Coming up tonight, government raises cocoa producer price by additional 400 cedis per bag for 2025-2026 season amid strong early deliveries. I am Bismarck Kausa. This headline story and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Government of Ghana has announced an immediate increase of 400 cedis on every 64 kg bag of cocoa sold to farmers for the ongoing 2025-2026 crop season. Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsin made the announcement earlier today. The following report has the details.
The Finance Minister explained that the review was necessary to significantly improve the financial well-being of farmers and was informed by recent changes in the government's commodity forecast.
3,625 Ghana cedis per bag, or 58,000 Ghana cedis per ton. This simply means that per every bag purchase, the cocoa farmer is getting 400 Ghana cedis additional.
Dr. Atuforsin assured continuous monitoring of world market trends to ensure farmers benefit appropriately. The move comes as Ghana accelerates its crop season to better reward farmers and curb smuggling. According to a Bloomberg report, cocoa deliveries to warehouses in August more than quadrupled year on year, a result of the early season start, which provided farmers with crucial early cash and contributed to a global supply uptake. Ghana forecasts a total crop of 650,000 tons for the 2025-2026 season, up from 600,000 tons in the previous harvest.
Moving on, Ghana has made a significant leap forward in its disinflation drive, with new data showing that price increases for both locally produced and imported goods are declining, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. Inflation for domestic goods stood at 10.1%, while inflation for foreign goods recorded a lower figure of 7.4%. Government statistician Dr. Alhassan-Idrisu noted that this divergence highlights that imported items are currently experiencing a sharper reduction in price.
Inflation for local items fell from 12.2% in August to 10.1% in September, a 2.1 percentage point drop. Inflation for imported items also eased by the same margin, from 9.5% to 7.4%. The stronger cedi and the falling global commodity prices are helping to keep imports cheaper, while local items remain costlier, possibly due to supply and distribution challenges at home.
And that was government statistician Dr. Alhassan-Idrisu, bringing us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Kausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Real Kwampafo is here for sports. Please stay.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo. We start off from the Black Stars, where head coach Otto has named Ghana's squad for the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Central African Republic and the Comoros in the final two games. Now, among standout selections are Abdul Fattah Ishaku, Ali Duseidu, and promising youngster Kojo Peprapong, who plays for OGC Nice in France. My colleague Billy Shen takes a closer look at the squad, highlighting the players making a return, the debutants, and some of the key omissions.
So Otto has released his squad for the final round of 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Central African Republic and also Comoros. Now, the returnees happen to be Abdul Fattah Ishaku and also Ali Duseidu, both of them suffering ACL injuries and are now back fit. Fattah Ishaku has a very good form at the start of the season for Leicester City, already scoring 2 goals in the championship. There's also Ebenezer Annan, who hasn't been called for quite a while, making his return. Now, for the new call-ups, it happens to be Kojo Opon Pepra of OGC Nice, who happens to be in the top 10, 4 tackles won in Ligue 1 this season. And there's also Prince Owusu, who features in midfield for Medeama SC. There was no call-up for Derek Cohn, and also Tariq Lamptey, of course, who has an injury, has a long-term injury, and isn't expected to be available as well.
So that was my colleague Bill Ishanda talking about some of the key issues with regards to Otto's 24-man squad. Now, notably, there were 2 home-based players in the squad. That is Benjamin Asare, but then there's also a new boy from Medeama joining in the team. My colleague Mutala Yakubu has more details.
Black Stars head coach Otto has named a squad for the final 2 World Cup qualifying games against Central African Republic and Comoros. And as usual, we look at the local players who were able to make the cut. 2 of them are in the squad. Benjamin Asare of Heart of Oak, who has become a regular in the Black Stars team, and a new entrant from Medeama, not Kamaradini Mahmudu, but this time Prince Owusu, the 20-year-old midfielder who has been dazzling in the Ghana Premier League. Now, Benjamin Asare has become a regular face in the Black Stars, and Otto, even when Ghana took on Madagascar, said that he is now the number 1, and we've seen it in the past qualifiers that we've played. For Prince Owusu, this is a big opportunity to link up with the likes of Thomas Partey and Kwesi Sibo. He has been playing for Medeama for some time now, and the 3 games that Medeama have played in the Ghana Premier League, he's featured in all and he's shown his quality, and that might be the reason why Otto handed him a call-up. Regular faces like Kamaradini Mahmudu and Nations FC's Razak Simpson are not in the squad, and we'll be hoping that after the qualifiers, they could make the cut for the 2026 World Cup proper.
So that was my colleague Mutala Yakubu. Remember that Ghana will play their penultimate World Cup qualifier against Central African Republic in Morocco on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Ghana time, and then 4 days later they will host Comoros here at the Accra Sports Stadium on Sunday to bring an end to the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The Black Stars currently sit top of Group I with 19 points and need 4 points from 2 games to ensure that they qualify for a 5th ever World Cup. My name is Oreku Ampofo, wrapping up the sports segment here on Hot Edition, and also bringing an end to Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. You can join us same time tomorrow as we continue to bring you updates from Ghana, the continent, and the globe.